All right, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order at 7:08. And we'll start with the opening remarks. Let me get to my notes.
Opening remarks should be by heart.
It should be.
Like, welcome, let's get this on.
All right, I appreciate everybody for joining the NPU-Y General Body Meeting. It is an absolute pleasure to work with you all and build neighborhoods with you all, because you all are building better quality of lives for our neighborhoods. So I just want to thank you for being an active and valued member of this community. Everything you do does make a difference, and every small part of every community that you do will make a large leap for our city. So appreciate that. Before we get started, I would like to mention some housekeeping guidelines. As usual, please stay muted at all times to prevent background noise. If you wish to speak, use the raise hand signal. That is located in the reactions tab or the participants section of Zoom. You'll be called to the floor in the order in which you raise your hand. This helps with the flow of meeting, which requires that only one person could be on the floor at a single time. If you do speak without being called to the floor, then that's considered out of order and you may be muted. Also, try to limit the conversation to one person if you could. That helps with the flow of meeting, and limit the speaking to a couple of minutes. If you are a city representative, admit some people in. If you are a city representative, please enter your contact information in the chat. That helps with the flow of the meeting as well. If you are first responders, we're going to call you first to the floor as usual. Then we'll call the city representatives in the order in which it is presented in the chat. So first, we're going to move to the approval of the minutes. Let me share my screen. We're going to move to the approval of the minutes. The minutes is located currently on the screen and is shown and is documented on our NPU-Y.org site. So I'd like to solicit a motion for unanimous consent.
So moved, Gloria.
Moved by Gloria. Can I get a second?
Second, Heather.
Seconded by Heather. In a unanimous consent, if there is no objection, we're going to pause for a second. If there's no objection, then it will automatically be approved by unanimous consent. Is there any objection?
Mr. Chair, may I direct folks? I believe, are the minutes still being archived at the website, so that if folks don't have sufficient time to read it, in this moment, that they are able to read it in advance of the meeting?
That is correct. The meeting is archived in the NPU-Y.org website, located under past general body minutes. Is there any objections? All right, seeing none, the motion passes by unanimous consent. All right, next we're going to move to the approval of the August 22 agenda. August 2022 agenda is located on the NPU-Y.org site. You can go to the second section, review August 22 agenda, and you can see it there. I'm also going to put it to the screen as shown. Now slowly scroll. All right. I would like to approve the agenda by unanimous consent. Can I get a motion for approval?
I second Nicole Weiswasser.
There's been a lot.
Oh, you say your motion?
My apologies. I motion to approve.
All right. Nicole Westwasser, motion to approve. Can I get a second?
Second, Heather.
Seconded by Heather. Is there any objection? We're gonna pause to see if there's any objection. Seeing none, the motion is approved by unanimous consent. We're gonna move forward to reports by city representatives. Please remember to try to limit. We have a very long agenda, so please try to limit by 2 minutes. I'm gonna also set the timer because I'm gonna be a little bit more strict just because we have a full-fledged, full agenda this time around. All right, we're gonna call the Atlanta Police Department to the floor. I think I saw Major Ricker.
Yes, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So going through last month's crime, for the month of July, we had 0 homicides compared to 1 in June. We had 6 aggravated assaults compared to 7 in June. We had 4 robberies compared to 1 in June. We had 9 burglaries compared to 9 in June. We had 15 auto thefts compared to 3 in June. We had 16 larceny from autos compared to 21 in June. And we had 13 larceny non-autos compared to 14 in June. And I'll just touch on some quick highlights. So out of those 13 non-auto larcenies, 6 of them were from one location at the Family Dollar on Lakewood. As far as the larceny from autos, thankfully the gun stolen from cars is at least going down. So there were only 2 taken out of those 16. And in reference to the auto thefts, where 15 were taken, 8 of them were taken with the keys. So that's a trend we don't like to see. So people continually leave their keys in the vehicles, especially those that are working. Not sure why they do that, but that's not a good thing. As far as the burglaries, we did have an arrest on one of those. Bruce Wallace was arrested. He was stealing appliances from construction sites. And we have 2 additional people out of those 9 incidents that have warrants for him currently that we are looking for. As far as the robberies go, we also had another significant arrest in that we had a juvenile that was arrested in reference to, they actually, we're counting so far 9 robberies, but it could be a significantly more. And that was between incidents that happened in Zone 3 and Zone 6. But one specifically at 184 McDonough Boulevard, that person was arrested for that as well. And this month we've had 2 homicides this month. I'll touch on them real quickly. 1368 Lakewood Avenue. We had an 18-year-old that was shot and killed. There was an arrest on scene there. And 1483 Arthur Langford, a 38-year-old was shot and killed there. We have somebody that is wanted. We have not arrested him yet, but we at least know who he is. And just to touch on a couple of other quick things, 1686 Jonesboro Road, we are aware of the let's just say the living room furniture that's in the back there. We're working with code enforcement to deal with that. And a vehicle that was back there has already been removed. We're also working on 346 South Bend Avenue for a large amount of trash that's on that property as well. And 89 South Bend Park as well. So that's all I've got unless somebody wants to speak about something more in depth.
Thank you, Major Richter. Is there any questions for Major Richter for the benefit of the body?
Or can I, at this point, just piggyback so that it'll eliminate earlier? Okay, Major Ricker, you didn't mention 1683. Remember, there was a bit of police action there as well.
We have had several actions there. So 1683 currently has some new owners at that location. We're looking at that property because there's a large amount of trash that's been left kind of strewn through there. We also had an incident where shots were fired over there during a dispute. That person was also arrested by our fugitive unit. So it continues to be, unfortunately, a busy place. We had another 30-year-old male that was shot in front of the store in what we would consider a drive-by, and we're working to solve that as well.
Major Ricker, because I was at Chief Shearbaum's NPU gathering last month, would you tell them about the sweep and Councilmember Winston and what was netted in that sweep? Will you share that with the body?
So regularly, we have several narcotics canines that are also used for tracking, and they're attached to our Apex unit. So part of what they are asked to do generally is self-initiated searches. So they'll go around to the businesses that are, let's just say, somewhat active with narcotics sales, and they will, for a better word, sweep the parking lot or the open areas that are open to the public. And we have had that location come up in the past, so they do take an active role in there, and we did recover narcotics at that location in the parking lot. Unfortunately, not with any people attached to it, but it's still significant that we remove it from the area.
And the reminder for the body.
Hey,
the
we're gonna
reminder-
allow Paul, we got this, we're a little bit over time. We're gonna allow Paul to have it, do his question really quickly.
I just wanted to, I've sent you an email on this before, but 386 McDonough Boulevard, intersection of McDonough and Eric. There's all kinds of stuff going on wrong there, where you have cars being worked on in the parking lot, on the street. I think there's some type of narcotics exchange going on there. And it's strange, when you come to the building, all the windows are blacked out. So that's sort of a dead ringer for problems probably going on. And I've sent you an email before on this, but I want to send it again.
So I've had officers go by. So far, we don't have anything fruitful to report back to you in reference to that location.
Well, you have people that are constantly illegally parking. If they go by there, they would have seen that. But I think you're gonna have, I know you have a narcotics branch that does, stake out places. And that's what you've got to do, because there's people constantly coming to that area where there was a chicken shack. And they wait for a second, they park illegally, first of all, then they go over there, get something and come out. And they do it all day long, 24/7. Maybe, I don't know what they're getting. To me, it looks like it's usually older people. So if there's any illegal transaction, it's probably prescription drugs of some sort. That's what I would think.
Appreciate that, Paul. Jacob, do you have a question? I think Major Ricker maybe, Major Ricker said that. Jacob, did you have a question? I saw your hand was raised.
Yeah, not necessarily a question. I was just going to chime in on what Paul said. That particular location on McDonough is definitely a hot spot, and they have quite a few violations that are going on there on a regular basis. So it would be nice. I understand that you might not have found anything on a sweep of the actual parking lot, but with there's definitely illegal activity going on there, and they are operating without the proper under the proper codes, with all the mechanical work they're doing out in the street, with all the vehicles, illegally parked vehicles, all those types of things. So that was just me chiming in on what Paul had mentioned as well.
Okay. And Major Richter, they did post the address, so we'll keep, it's me or Gloria, the public safety chair, will keep a tabs and see if we can get updated. So probably sometime after the meeting.
Or can he hit one last item? That's the
we
cameras.
have-
Can he hit that one last item? The cameras in the vehicles that are in real time?
Yes, I'm gonna allow Jazz to speak, and then we'll come back to it. Jazz, you had a question?
Yes, actually, the thing is, the people who have the cars are the same people 2 years ago who had the lot across from my property. It's just a game of whack-a-mole. It's the very same people. They're just moving through the neighborhood until people complain enough, and then they will move somewhere else. And unfortunately, that's the same problem with crime and prostitution. You move the people, the same thing that's happening at the Chevron or the Amoco. There's nothing going over there, but now they're back over at the place, the Pick or whatever. So it's pretty much until they find a place for people to go, they're going to keep moving from place to place. Although here's the funny thing is that when I was complaining about it, I was the only one complaining about it because I was the only person that lives on the street. But now that they've moved down the street, now a whole bunch of other people are having the very same problem. Ironic. That's it.
All right, appreciate that, Jazz, for that. And then Gloria, you mentioned the last piece with the videos in the or Major Record can.
The NDT system, Major Ricker, if you'll explain that to them, how effective it is.
Sure. So we're talking about connectatlanta.org. It's the integration of cameras, whether they're from a business or the knowledge that, you know, particular residents may have a camera that they want to share. So just talking about what's available to the officers in the vehicles. So our MDTs do allow us to monitor the cameras live on their way to a location, or in general, the beat officer can actually watch what's going on in that particular area. So it's an added bonus for us to be able to see what's going on live instead of reacting after the fact.
All right. Appreciate Major Ricker for everything that you're doing and keeping us safe.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night, sir.
Would like to call the fire department to the floor.
Good evening. This is Captain Asher with the Atlanta Fire Department. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I would like to start with, our computer's been down for a few hours, so I was unable to pull up information regarding the number of calls as far as fires and EMS calls that we've had. We are working on our closed door campaign at night. Close your kids' doors, close your bedroom doors. That way fire has a less chance of getting to your children and to you. Smoke detectors. If anybody needs a smoke detector, you can call the fire department 404-546-7000, or you can come by your local fire station. If we have them, we'll be more than happy to get them to you. If we don't, we will get in contact with people who do have them and make sure that you do get one. If you need us to install it, if we have some elderly residents, we can definitely come out and install it for you. Let me give you the email address. It's afd-battalion1@atlanta.ga.gov. You can contact the fire department through there for any concerns. And the station phone number is 404-546-4402. That's Station 2 at 1568 Jonesboro Road. And if anybody has any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for the benefit of the body? Please use the raise hand feature at this time. All right, seeing none. Thank you so much for keeping us nice and cool.
All right. Hey, thank y'all. Have a great night. Appreciate it.
All right, appreciate you. All right, moving over to the Department of Public Works Suite, Officer Lawrence.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Officer Lawrence. I'm with the Department of Public Works Suite team. I just wanted to address a couple of concerns that were brought to my attention. I've been out of the office for maybe a week or so, but I just wanted to let everyone know that we have been patrolling the Lakewood Heights area with Richmond and Gold Street and all those things. We send crews over to clean it up. Unfortunately, it's just something right now in the area where as soon as we clean it up, they're dumping again. My little car is always present in the area, even before complaints are there. But if it's something that you have put in a request for and it have not been removed, because unfortunately, the only thing that I can do is submit a request. I don't actually remove it. But right now, our time out is possibly like 2 weeks for removal. So I may put it in today, it just may be 2 weeks out. So I just gonna ask that you guys be a little patient with us on that. Also, we're still on the bi-weekly collection of yard trimming. This week being collection week of yard trimming. So it's collected during your regular scheduled collection day. Other than that, I don't have anything. I put my contact information in the chat, and I'll stand by if anyone have any questions.
Is there any questions? Please use the raise hand feature for the benefit of the body. For Officer Lawrence. All right, thank you, Officer Lawrence, for everything you're
Thank
doing,
you.
keeping us nice and clean, I guess.
Trying, we're gonna get better. We're trying. As things start building and getting up, we're gonna see less of it, but we're also gonna start trying to put cameras out. So that's why I say just be a little patient. We're working on this. It bothers me to ride in the area working, regardless outside of living in there. I work in the area every day, so it disturbs me to see things happen as well. So I'm here with you guys just as well. So if you have anything, like I said, please send me an email, contact 311. We'll make sure we address it.
Jacob, did you have any questions? See your hand raised.
I did. I just wanted to find out, is this who we would contact regarding any kind of building materials and things that are left on our sidewalks?
If anything that's on the right of way, you would. But one thing I'm gonna ask, just for, we have a lot of calls coming in. If you guys could just report it through 311, they'll be sure to pass it over to me. Or if I'm out of the office, we'll get another team member to address it. But just I am the officer assigned to area for things like that. So if you have something that you have submitted and it just have not been addressed, you can shoot me that email and I'll go ahead and see why it hasn't been addressed.
Okay, that would be great. We have one site in particular, 314 Dalton Street, that we've requested multiple times.
Okay.
I believe there's a case number, but we haven't gotten any traction as far as the developer actually removing anything on the sidewalk. Yes.
Okay, I'll make those. And if you want to shoot me your email, I can give you a follow-up on it.
Okay, perfect.
Address in the
Okay.
chat.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right, appreciate it for everything. We're gonna go ahead and move forward to 311. Timothy Cannon, your call to the floor.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Timothy Cannon, and I'm a support services coordinator for ATL 311, which is a non-emergency call center for the city of Atlanta. And it's the number you would dial to report things like potholes, water main breaks, questions about your water bill, code violations, and other general information. Our call center, which is now completely virtual, is open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. through 7 p.m. Or you can reach us by dialing 311 inside the city of Atlanta city limits. Otherwise, you can call our phone number, which is 404-546-0311. I'll put the rest of our contact information inside the chat. And does anyone have any questions or concerns?
Does anybody have any questions for the benefit of the body?
I do have a question. This is Shantae Press. How you guys doing?
All right.
How are you, ma'am?
Good. Is there I guess a management level contact that available? Because I've had some issues that have literally been going on that I've reported repeatedly for almost a year to no avail. And I'm just frustrated and I don't know where else to turn at this point.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you see the email address that's in the inbox where it says atl311@atlantaga.gov. But if you would send your questions or concerns there, someone from our management department will get back in contact with you. Or you can also send me your information inside the chat and I can email them tomorrow with your concerns. Do you have a confirmation number or?
Oh, yeah, I've got all of that.
You have all of that. What is it pertaining
Yeah.
to, ma'am?
It's honestly multiple issues. I can just kind of connect with you offline for the sake of the meeting tonight, if that's okay.
Okay, that's fine. Yes, ma'am.
And what name are you listed under in the Zoom meeting?
Well, my name is Timothy Cannon. The email address atl311@atlantagA.gov. But like I said, you can email or inbox me any
Okay.
concerns that you might have, ma'am, and I can send that over to our management department. Okay.
Okay. So are you listed as, okay, I see ATL 311 Timothy. Okay. Thanks,
Yeah.
Timothy. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay.
CC us on that, the NPU, because we've been
Okay.
having success with reaching directly out to the council persons, because they'll just reach directly out to the department. If we have like if there's a long time span between tickets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. You guys have a good evening.
All right.
Do
You
the
too.
same.
Gloria, you call to the floor?
Yes, sir. Pad referrals, pad referrals is still going through 311, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I actually work with PAD. That's my division. Do you have any type of concern, ma'am?
Yeah, maybe I'll connect with you. I've sent a few people who are chronically homeless, et cetera, and their issue is that they're basically told to go to Gateway first,
Right.
first serve, and they never really can get there at 6 o'clock if they're working. So to me, it just didn't make any sense. They're working homeless, can't get there by 6, so they wind up sleeping on the streets. And just seems like if I could talk to you and see if there's a better system for tracking those folks.
Okay, so let me tell you how PAD works. PAD is basically when someone is in a situation where they are about to get arrested by the police, whether that be, where they might be topless or don't have any clothes on in public, or whether they're stealing something from the store, or whether they're urinating in public, anything that might get them arrested by the APD, then that goes over to PAD. As far as homelessness, we do also assist them as well, ma'am. But we would have to do self-referrals for them, and that will go over to Partners for Homes, which also is Gateway. So what you could do is just call us if you have any type of concerns. Call 311 and then just press 1. That's going to get you over to support services, and you will either get me or one of my other colleagues, and we can put that request in for you.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Appreciate that, and appreciate it, ATL 311, for answering our questions. We're gonna go ahead and move forward. Is there any other city department representatives? I'm gonna move to elected officials shortly.
Yes,
Oh, Yolanda.
I'm here from
Totally
Watershed.
forget. Yep, sorry, forgot you. You was the first person. Skipped over you, my bad. Yep.
That's
you're on the
okay.
floor.
Yeah, I know fire and police are more important, so that's okay. But I am Yolanda Bozeman with the City of Atlanta Department of Watershed Management. And basically what I wanted to talk to you all about tonight was our float initiative that we have going on. It is an initiative that will help those that are having problems with paying their water bill. And in the chat, I did put the locations where they would be till the end of the month. We'll be at the local libraries within the City of Atlanta, Fulton County, if you need any assistance with paying your water bill. And also I put that we're at our final rain barrel workshop, which would be on Thursday, September the 15th, if anybody is interested in attending. And that would be all.
Is there any questions for Department of Watershed? Please use the raise hand feature at this time. All right, thank you so much for joining us, and we appreciate
Thank you all as well.
keeping us hydrated.
Mr. Chair.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chair, we still have Cofield from.
Yep, I see her. I see it in the chat. I'm good. I did miss skip over it. Officer Schofield from the Housing Code Enforcement, you call to the floor.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Officer Cofield with the Code Enforcement for Housing. And one of the things I wanted to kind of mention today, across the street from Ideal Sports Bar, which is 1953, there is a black MARTA bus. I have been in contact with the owners of that. It's a vacant lot right directly across the street. I've made contact with them. They're an older couple, so it's kind of hard getting them, but I have made contact with them. This is my second try trying to get them to move the bus. So I think APD is on it and they're gonna actually move it because it takes a special bus to actually move that MARTA bus that's in that field across the street from Ideal Sports Bar. And that's Ideal Sports Bar is at 1953. And I can't remember, it's 4 lots over there. 2 of them are owned by a young gentleman and the other 2 lots are owned by an older couple. So I have made contact and we probably will get that bus moved momentarily and get them to cut that lot over there. Another thing I was wondering was Officer Lawrence still on the call. What I came upon one day is I came up on a man who was cutting his grass, and what he did was he put the furniture, he put his yard clippings out on the side, and he said that the city would take them. If I'm not mistaken, and I think if she could clarify this, you need to take your yard clippings, she is on here. You need to take your yard clippings with you, not just put them just for the city to come by and take them, even though they will, but it's not for the city just to come and take your yard clippings. You're supposed to dispose of, like if you're cutting down trees and all these limbs and they're packed up very high. Yeah, I don't think that's what the sweet team is there for. So can you clarify that, Officer Lawrence? But I did tell the gentleman he has to remove the furniture. He needed to remove that high yard clippings and everything.
Yes, we do have, they have to meet certain specs for us to collect it. But say if it's a non-homeowner, someone that's been paid or something like that to do the work, cut the trimmings down, they do have to dispose of it themselves. The city will not do it.
That's
So
right.
that is true. We will not do it if you enter into a contract with someone or they receive payment. The city will not do it. Not something as simple as yard bags if we actually catch them doing it.
Yes,
So,
yes. That's what, see, I caught him doing it. So that
Yes,
was one of the things that I told him. Don't just leave it out there for the city.
Yes, you were right about that. Officer Cofield, yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
No,
And that's
I'm
all
here,
I have
and
for you all this evening.
You have my email if you ever cross that path or something like that again. You have my email, so we can touch bases.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right,
Any questions for me?
Is there any questions for the benefit of the body? Please use the raise hand feature at this time. All right.
Y'all have a great evening.
Yep, you too. Thank you, Officer
Thank
Cofield.
you.
All right. Is there any other city department representatives? I think I got them all this time. All right, seeing we're gonna go ahead and move forward to the elected officials. We're gonna go ahead and call in the order. I see Tamara Jones from Board of Education, seat 7.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. I'm not able to start my video for some reason. So I'm just going to talk. So obviously we started school on August 1st. Attendance is a big issue. We have issues with obviously, particularly parents in the vicinity of Forest Cove being unsure about where the kids are supposed to be going to school. And some of them have not registered their children in school until they figure out, what is going on with their living situation, which is understandable. But attendance is, a huge issue for us in APS, and we just need help from the community to push that out, to parents and families that, getting their kids to school, after 2 years of the pandemic, is critical for their learning. The other thing is we still need assistance with identifying families and students who are still in need of school supplies. We gave out all of our backpacks, and school supplies at the back to school bash, and there've been, a handful of other, events, over the time. But if there are any students or families that still need help, please let me know. I put my contact in the chat. I just also want everybody to know that, we are currently engaged. I'm sorry, the dog is barking. Go. In the Carver Cluster Strategic Plan. And this is a conversation that we need everybody to be involved in. So this is an opportunity to reimagine, dream, just, what it is that we want the Carver Cluster to be. And everybody needs to be a part of that. And so if you need information about how to plug into that, please let me know and I can give you that information. We also had a conversation last week on potential surplus properties, for APS, where our consultants for the facilities master plan identified 16 properties that might possibly be considered as properties that we as APS might not need to serve students in the future. And so I need everybody to stay in tune, pay attention to that, because there's going to be a lot of public engagement around that. I mean, the board is not going to make a decision without public engagement, and just need everybody to be involved with that. And with that, I can drop my contact in the chat again, but just want everybody to know that I'm available. You can reach out to me anytime. I'm a citywide representative for Atlanta Board of Education, and I'm here to listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions for board member Tamara Jones? I see two. Gloria, I just copied her information to the chat. Gloria, your call to the floor.
Yes, quickly, thanks Tamara for all that you do. We submitted a list of families that we were not able to completely serve on our event, our Lakewood Family Day event, and it was given to, I think, what's our District 1 person, Katie, and was wondering if those families had been satisfied.
I don't have the list, but I will reach out to her and, get that, because, we've been trying to work on, we've gotten donations, we're calling supplies, and we want to make sure that everybody's been, fully supplied. So I will get with Katie on that and get back to you.
Thanks, Tamara, thanks much.
Zachary, your call to the floor.
Hi, good evening. I had a question, two-part question, I guess. One is, we had really severe declines in test scores. I think we had the lowest test scores in the city in a number of our schools. Some of the sharpest declines were in the contract charter schools. And I'm just wondering if there's going to be any sort of public discussion around a plan to address those types of issues. And the second question is regarding the surplus facilities. I know that you all are moving into a different phase of that conversation. Will there be an opportunity for folks in Lakewood to have a discussion about the surplus facility in our space? What does that plan for engagement look like?
So your first question about, the decline in test scores, I mean, that is something, sorry, no. That is something we have talked about. We most recently in our, board meeting last Monday, we talked about student outcomes focused governments, where we really dived deeply into literacy. And we are looking hard at that, about, the outcomes in a lot of our schools, and about what might be the root causes. We do know, not definitively, but there are some, indicators that, attendance is a real issue. And so we've got a lot of schools, including some of the partner schools, that have, high levels of chronic absenteeism. And, if you're missing more than 10% of the school year, it's an issue. You're not going to be getting, the education that you deserve. And so this is something that we're going to be turning our attention to, is how to make sure we convey to the community, to the parents, to the families that, it is critical, for their students to be present, to receive, that. And there are other things that we're going to be trying to dive into with regard to, the results that we saw with the analysis that was presented to us, especially relating to, other school districts nearby that experienced a very different result. So our data team, what we call our PIC crew, they're on it. They're going to be, communicating with the districts that are surrounding us and trying to figure out and unpack, what they're doing differently than what we are doing, because we all experienced the COVID, effect, but different districts have had different results. With regard to the potentially surplus properties, we absolutely will be engaging the community with respect to that, before any recommendations are made. And so please be on the lookout for that. We will be engaging with the neighborhoods, with the NPU before any decision is made. So just do know that. And we don't know what that looks like at the moment, but that's what our goal is right now, is to map that out.
All right. All right, with that being said, I appreciate it for keeping us educated. We're going to go ahead and move forward in elected positions, elected officials, to Councilperson Winston's office. Let's see, Cheryl's on the line. Cheryl, you call to the floor. Cheryl Bennett, you call to the floor. You're still on mute. All right, we're having technical difficulties, so we'll go ahead. Is there anybody from District 12 office? I know they just sent the message saying that they were still in session. So is there anybody in the representatives of District 12? If not, we'll just revisit that later on. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move forward to committee reports. We'll start with since we just ended with education, we'll start with education. Monique, your call to the floor. Saw you was online. Tanisha Nunley.
Hey, sorry. We're in hair washing time. Hello, guys. I am Monique. Government name is Tanisha. We have not had a meeting. Hold on one sec. Hold on, Free. We are having our next meeting on Monday. I don't have my calendar in front of me, y'all. Sorry. But the second Monday in September is our first meeting. I will send a Zoom out and get it on the website. But the second Monday at 6 p.m. we have a Zoom link, and I'll make sure that gets on the website and share that with you. And as well as we'll push it out into our an email to you all so you all can have it. We want people to come out and talk with us about what you want to see. Again, the strategic planning process is still underway for the Carver cluster, as you heard Board Member Jones talk about. And this is the time where we are now STEM signature program cluster. So we're thinking about what kind of STEM programming will we like to see in our community to attract more families. As I told you guys before, we are the projected lowest enrollment for the entire district. And so based on that facility master plan, we will have our schools gutted the fastest. We will have the least amount of kids attending neighborhood schools. And y'all don't want these big old buildings with no kids in them, I promise. So we want to attract families. We want to be choice schools. And if we want to be choice schools, then we need to know what kind of programming would be best. What kind of pathway opportunities? We have a college and career academy over here. How do we connect with them? So these are things we need people to come and talk to us about, so that we don't get a lot of people living here and nobody going to school here. So let's talk second Monday of September, 6 p.m. on Zoom. And we started our school store. We raised $1,000 for the school store. We donated 2 TVs, a tablet. One of our largest donors was 1800 Jonesboro. Y'all, it's escaping me. The owner of that establishment, and he really supported us. Huh?
Omar.
Ali.
Oh my, thank you. It was like blocking me. The Ali Center supported our students in a big way, and we really appreciate it. And we were able to donate 2 TVs to the school store, so kids can earn and own a TV based on their academic performance. That principal has seen growth in his school, second in the district at Ferguson Elementary. And so those are the things we want to see. And that principal has been very collaborative with us and working with us, even though they're in NPU-X. We want to support all of the Carver cluster across the entire 4 NPUs that it stretches across. And so these are the things we want to see you guys give to. You'll get more information about how to give to the school store and even volunteer at the school store if you like in the early mornings. I think that's it. Thank you, everybody, for helping with the school store launch. I posted some pictures.
Thank you. I would also like to get a shout out to the Lakewood Heights community for doing the back to school event. It was a great success, and they was able to give out book bags, all types of supplies for the students, and I personally had a great time as well. So thank you, Lakewood Heights, for also supporting the students here in our community. All right, we're going to move forward to transportation and public works. I think Jeff may be out of town. Yep, so for transportation and public works, we're still working on, we're trying to set a meeting with District 1, District 12, also the POW Foundation for the Lakewood Heights Trail. So we've been working with the POW Foundation and was able to get the T-SPLOS funds. So now we're trying to understand what are the next steps. So we're working currently to set a meeting with them to understand how can we start to build out for the Lakewood Heights Trail. We're looking to very soon, we're looking to have an engineer hired from POW Foundation on behalf of POW Foundation to survey the land and understand our next steps moving forward. Other than that, the McDonough Bridge looks to be, they say that the tentative date is October to bring it back online. So we're still working with the Georgia Department of Transportation to understand if we can meet that timeline. Dr. Rebecca Robson won't be able to make it as well for Parks Beltline. She sent a message. There are working with South Bend Park as well as Langford Park. We're still trying to get the items updated in Langford Park that was due to flooding well over a few months ago. And we're still working with the city to be able to provide us with updated flooring as well as updated equipment for the park, and also to fix the graffiti that is in the park right now for Langford Park. Gloria, I know you mentioned a lot of stuff in public safety. Did you want to mention anything real brief?
Yeah, real briefly. I think Heather, thank you. Downloaded in the chat. Crime prevention inspectors at atlantaga.gov. The information is in the chat. Essentially, the early November period is going to be a neighborhood watch program. It's a 4-hour block of time, but before that, I will submit a couple of documents that explains the structure of the program. It's a 48-point program to be initially designated as a neighborhood watch. We've got 10 communities within NPU-Y. What it does, it allows the signage. You know, some say it's just a deterrent, but it allows the neighborhood watching process. So again, it's downloaded in the chat. It is the crime prevention inspectors at atlantaga.gov. It's just a quick memo saying, I'm interested. Can you please forward more information? Again, the time period is November, hoping people will, because there's real structure to it, and we can devote a bit each month in our community, 15 or 20 minutes, because you have to earn 24 points annually to maintain the designation. There's also a crime inspector officer that is assigned to the community. Lastly, I just wanted to understand, all of us know that if we call in, the more calls given on a given item, it heightens APD's response. That is a given. So the more, 1 or 2 people calling, maybe, but the more people, but what is currently in place that was not previously, there's a mobile data terminal there in the vehicle. The officer in real time can access the camera that is in that area that is being mentioned, where whatever is going on. That is brand new. So we need to call. That call will engender the officer accessing the cameras so they can actually see what we're talking about. Lastly, I think that was the last, couple other things. 1683 is the Chevron, 1634, both of them. This was major. On the 6th of January, thanks to CM Winston and our new interim police chief, Shearbaum, a sweep that took place in Zone 3. It started up Atlanta Avenue, which I think is Peoplestown. It ended up here in Lakewood. Both 16 and 1634, as well as 1683, were hit with a sweep. Contraband found in both locations. One marijuana and crack, the other marijuana and MDM. What is the significance? 1634, 1683, each had been denied their license previously because of their inability to control those premises. I think Troy will tell you these people have rode our agenda for the last 6 months. Suddenly they're off. They're recognizing that they're now confronting some real empirical evidence that's likely going to stop them. I think that's really it. I think that's it, Troy. Those are the, one last thing. We've asked Major Ricker to determine that little white building that he mentioned today at 1686 Jonesboro Road, to determine whether they have a business license. They removed a car from there. They're expecting now code enforcement to go in behind and to remove the trash. But the pivotal issue for a lot of folks is, are they operating with a business license? No one is ever there when APD arrives. So I think Major Ricker is going to make that determination.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. Yep. Moving forward to the communications. Kelly Jean or Heather. All right. Bylaws. We mentioned plan to mention it in the announcements, but the bylaws deadline is the end of September. So if you have any questions or modifications that you would like to have, please submit any modifications before our general body September meeting, so that we can put it before the general body for a vote. That's the bylaws. If there's any matters that you wish to change, then please send it to the executive team, and then from there we can be able to add it to the agenda for a vote. Thank you.
Point of order, Chair, would you let them know that they can also be found at the site? A copy of the bylaws is really accessible.
Yep, the current copy of the bylaws can be found on the NPU-Y general body, or NPU-Y.org. And there is the third item from the top is called bylaws, and it'll take you to the link where the bylaws is located. All right, moving forward to Lakewood Oversight. Is there any updates for Lakewood Oversight?
Yeah, there wasn't that much to report. Had a meeting last week. We discussed mostly administrative things. But I did want to point out that August, it was, and it still is, a high concert month. So we have 3 more concerts left. One on the 23rd, one on 24th. And that's Santana, Earth, Wind, and Fire. The one on the 23rd is Odessa, the last goodbye tour. And then we have the last one in August on August 30th, and that's Madden Dragons. All of these are high attendance, so prepare accordingly. Of these, I think we have 2 weekdays left, one on a Wednesday and one on a Tuesday.
Right.
And I think that's it.
I'm sad I'm gonna miss that Earth, Wind, and Fire.
I know, right?
All right.
Gladys Knight was pretty good, though. Gladys Knight was in this past month, her and the OJs.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, it was really good.
All right, moving forward to Lakewood Finance. Kanika or Jimmy, are you online?
I can chime in on that. Pretty much the same report. We had our meeting in July. There were 4 applications that were submitted. All 4 were approved. 3 were for 2,500. 1 was for 1,000. One of those was Lakewood Heights. The Lakewood Day grant was approved for Lakewood Heights. The other 3 were also approved. I don't have the names of those other 3 groups handy, but they were approved. Like I said, in total 3 for 2,500 and 1 for 1,000. And actually, we actually, as a rule, we don't give out the names of the groups just for confidentiality reasons. So, but that is a report that I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Then we're gonna move to for the advisory. I'm probably gonna try to set up a time to meet with leaders. See if we can do in-person meetings within the next couple of months, just to have a advisory ad hoc meeting. So look for that in the coming months. And then the special projects ad hoc meeting. Nicole, are you online?
Hey, yeah, I'm on. My phone's just, I had to log off on my phone. But we are talking with a web developer and kind of coordinating all of our sites to organize what's going to be inputted. So we're been going back and forth this week. So it's moving forward. So we're excited to see some progress going on this week.
All right, thank you. And Zach, we did get your email. We're not ignoring you. We're just a little bit delayed on our end. Yeah. That is it. Is there any questions for any of the committees for the benefit of the body? You please use the raise hand feature at this time. All right, seeing Cheryl, did you have your are you back on? Cheryl Bennett? All right, moving forward. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move forward to the matters for voting. We have 2 voting items that's currently on the agenda. The first one, we're going to go with love at first bite. Please excuse the order, but we're going to go with love at first bite first, and then we'll go with the quick pick food mart. Mitch, did you want to go ahead and just speak 1 minute or so?
Yeah.
First bite.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mitch Funk. I am an attorney representing Love at First Bite. I also have the agent, Camila Campbell, on the call. This is a restaurant seeking liquor, beer, and wine served on premises. And I'm going to turn it over to Camila to kind of give you a rundown of the menu and everything, just to give you some idea of what the restaurant is.
Hi, guys. We are a brunch restaurant operating Wednesday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Our primary focus is brunch. It's kind of featuring some of the menu items for recipes from my cookbook I've published on Amazon. We have our featured item, churro, waffles, and chicken, smoked Gouda cheese grits and shrimp. And those are just like a couple of items that are some favorites. But yeah, we were just a regular brunch restaurant, and we are seeking to have light cocktails, mimosas, beers, and that's pretty much it.
All right, thank you, Camilla. That menu made me hungry. I'd like to mention on behalf of the executive committee and the Lakewood Heights. So the executive committee did not see any issue with the Love at First Bite. They presented back in October of 2021, which was approved by the NPU-Y general body. They were not able to get in operation within 6 months, and as a policy, they have to come back to the NPU for a vote just in case anything changed. Nothing has changed. It's currently located in 1800 Jonesboro Road in the Ali Center. Also, Zach, did you want to go ahead and give a brief synopsis of the vote for Lakewood Heights?
Yeah, the vote in Lakewood Heights was unanimous in support of their application.
All right. I'd like to solicit a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Zach.
Zach.
Can I get a second?
Gloria, second.
Chris McCord. Oh,
Gloria, second, her first. With that being said, we'd like to open the floor briefly for discussion. Gloria, you called to the floor.
Yeah, I would just reiterate what you just said, that this is basically a formality that Love at First Bite is already licensed by the state. It was actually the bureaucracy of the city that did not allow the grease trap to be approved within that 6-month period. So opening put them outside of the 6 months. So I just want to concur with what you said, that previously Lakewood found favor and voted absolutely in favor. And I think NPU did as well, but for the city bureaucracy, and again, their review of that grease trap, again, they would have been within 6 months and did not need to come back before us. So there.
Suzanne, you called to the floor.
Sorry, I was just voting ahead because we're driving and get this coordinated. That's all.
I
Sorry.
appreciate it. You keep your hand up then, because I'm about to close out. So the conversation has been closed out for discussion. We'd like to move forward for the vote. All those who are in favor, please use the raise hand feature at this time.
Get yours. See if I can get-
In order to be a voting member, you must have attended 3 meetings out of the last 12 calendar months and live in NPU-Y or have a business or be a business representative in NPU-Y.
Mr. Chair, the tally currently is 11. Include me as the 12th, if you would, please. 12 in favor.
Kuja in favor. And we also see Bob, who also has voted yes in the chat.
13 in favor.
13 in favor.
Yes.
I'm going to close out. Yeah, if you would drop that. I don't see the feature to drop hands. If everybody would drop their hands, or one of the executive team would drop the hands for me. All right, all hands has been dropped. All those who wish to vote against the approval for Love at First Bite LRB license, please use the raise hand feature this time. All those who wish to vote in opposition.
None in opposition showing.
None in opposition. All those who wish to abstain, please use the raise hand feature at this time.
No abstentions showing.
No abstentions, motion carries 13-0. Look forward to the Gouda grits.
We look forward to having you.
The salmon broche for me, please.
Moving forward to the Quick Pick Food Mart, 1634 Lakewood Avenue, sent the email saying they would like to do a voluntary deferral. They want to meet with the Lakewood Heights community in the September meeting to have more conversation around 1634 and Lakewood Avenue. The Lakewood Heights did vote in opposition to reject the LRB license, but then we did get an email from the lawyer, the law team for 1634 to do a voluntary deferral to allow for more conversation. I am a little bit at fault because I did give them last minute notice, but they were able, once I called them and they were able to attend, but I did give them last minute notice as a chair, so I apologize for that. Since it's a voluntary deferral, we will, we don't have to do a vote for LRB. And correct me if I'm wrong. All right, Gloria, you called to the floor.
Mr. Chair, frankly, I think you and I had this conversation earlier that these folks rode the agenda for 6 months. One would even surmise it's as a result of the empirical evidence coming out of that suite that now there's some shuffling. Many often believe it's just a shuffling of relatives in an effort to obtain these licenses. It's not accurate that Attorney Dwayne Martin is saying that there was no notice. If we go back to our thread of emails, he confirmed the 15th, but there was notice that we would be meeting on the 15th. I don't quite understand this.
I made notice for Lakewood Heights. So I did give them notice for the 15th. So in this particular case, this is a very peculiar case because it was on our agenda as a different applicant. So they made a new change of ownership. This applicant, Pamita Jenna, withdrew the application that they created, and then a new applicant, I guess it's supposed to be a new owner, but a new applicant, Muhammad Khan, became the new owner for Lakewood and for this establishment. I'm still trying to get clarity on that, and I did mention in our last meeting that we need to put it for a vote, but since it changed matters, I'm not sure what this means, if it's a new ship or is it just the applicant change. So I need to get more clarity on our end. Jazz?
Yes, so 1683 did this same move where they changed owners and now they have a temporary liquor license there. Let us all remember that 1634 in December, there were 3 teens that were shot leaving their place. So they had bad press. So they are now going to try to do the same thing that the Chevron, now Amoco, is doing by changing names, getting a temporary liquor license. But here's the catch. The people from the Chevron who were hanging out front because they want to keep a good liquor license are now standing in front of 1634, which is why they don't want to appear right now, because all the Chevron mess is now in front of there until they can get, so they need to clean that up. So it's again, it's the same whack-a-mole and they're playing this game. That was it.
But
I don't disagree. We're gonna go into order. I don't disagree, Jazz, with that. Zach, your call to the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that our community, Lakewood Heights, was unanimously opposed to the application, and I think that holds regardless of the change of hands. One of our concerns in the conversation was the applicant, I believe his name was Muhammad, his complete ignorance regarding what was happening on the site. in particular of the officers finding drugs during the sweep. And he didn't have any kind of thing to offer, around that, or any plan around security of the premises. And so, our vote is going to hold at this point, regardless of their intention to defer the application. And there was a lot of pressure as well in the last 2 community meetings from members of our community to no longer defer the application.
So again, so in this particular case, because last meeting I did mention that we're no longer going to defer. However, in this particular case, they changed the applicant name. And by the city, by the municipal code, the applicant is required to attend the NPU meeting. And because of that, in theory, they have not attended the NPU meeting because it's a new applicant, even though it's been under the agenda as a different applicant. So it's very interesting in this case. However, I'm always open to soliciting a motion from the floor, and we can discuss it at another time.
May I, Troy?
Yep, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, also at the meeting that it's bogus. It's like everybody is saying, Mr. Khan admitted that he has been the owner occupier in possession under a temporary license since at least March. We can probably back it up further than that. He was kind of scattered and all over the place. He was just shooting from the hip. We asked him if there had been any police calls to the location. He said none to his knowledge, unless some of his people. There were from a 6-week period, there were 13 calls to that location. I'd like to remind everybody, I heard Jazz say that 1683 is operating under liquor license. Last October, 1683 came before LRB. LRB denied, based on the community's representation, denied the license. If there's a license temporarily occupied right now operating, it has not come back before. It has not come back before the NPU. So there's a problem, period.
Yeah, yes, that's correct. So 1683 current, in both 1634, because 1634 recently expired as well. So in both cases, it should be expired at this point. I'm allowed for one more because we have to move forward unless we get a motion. Jazz, you call to the floor.
So I was actually just letting her know there's a person on next door who went into the new 1683, and he made a whole comment about all the different types of beer that were there. And the owner asked him if he wanted any particular type of beer. Okay, so it's in there, and they're using this ploy. And one other side note, since they moved all the people, they're trying to find new turf. There was a shootout on Sunday at 1:45, a drive-by shootout, and then they came back at 2:08 with bigger guns. But because it's this neighborhood, no one really called the police. It was just kind of like, okay. So there's a war for turf, and there's a war for getting a liquor license going on right now. And they're using this lawyer and different names as a ploy. And there is liquor at 1683 right now. There's beer in the coolers.
So yeah, we definitely would need to call the police because that is against the violation. And that's a thing we have to talk to APD and make sure they know that. So I'm not sure we made a note to call them, but we need to I'll make a note to call 911, call Major Richter, and see if we can get that removed. Zach, you're called to the floor.
Thank you. So I'd like to make a motion for us to still decline this application. To me, it's telling that the store owner's not even here today, even though they've requested the voluntary deferral. There's still a lot of questions that they could answer. And we've held this for long enough. And even the change of ownership hasn't resulted in any type of plan or contingency to deal with the violence. So I think we should move to vote no on this. And obviously they can come back at whatever point. But I think, enough's kind of been enough.
Okay. Anna Johnson, I need your guidance on this.
So I was just looking at the email that Daniel sent us, Troy. And it had recommended, since it was the voluntary deferral from the applicant, that we amend the agenda to remove this application. The applicant indicated that they were coming back, that they were intending to come back to the September meeting. But since we've already voted on the agenda, I think we could make a motion to defer or not to defer the application, and go from there, unless we can amend the vote on the agenda and remove the application.
So.
Troy, I still think you're
Robert,
bound.
so I'd like to get a second for the motion. Is there any second for the motion that Jack put on the floor?
Was that the motion to deny, Chairman?
The motion is to go ahead and go forward with a vote for denial instead of deferral.
I will
But
second
the
that.
applicant asked for a voluntary deferral. The LRB, in the LRB case, is very strict on the policies. So that's why I'm kind of having reservations as a chairperson. It's because as a applicant, you are required to attend the NPU meeting. But since they did a voluntary deferral, as Nanda mentioned, in theory, we should have removed it from the agenda. However, since it's on the agenda, we can revisit. We'll talk to the city after we decide on the vote.
Mr. Chair, discussion, please.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's second.
Mr. Chair, we can't, under the ordinance, we can't do that. The fact that
I gotta get a second to the before we do discussion. I'd like to get a second. Is there any second?
I seconded the motion to for a no vote.
Okay. I'm gonna open the floor for these.
Not for a deferral.
Okay. So this motion has been properly moved by Zach, seconded by Jacob. I open the floor for discussion. Gloria?
Yes, just as you cited, that the requirement is not to come before the local community. I think as a policy, we say we've got 10 communities and that it's better that the community vets rather than having 10 LR applicants taking us well into the mid-morning. So the requirement is not to meet with the community. That vote stands whenever those folks come back. The requirement, which has to be met, is that the entity, the applicant, be given the opportunity to present their case to the NPU, not the local community. So in that regard, the motion is moot. Moot in that we have already decided the local community, but it's not binding. It's generally accepted as for the NPU. It is accepted as the best vetting process, and generally the NPU will agree with the community. But if we vote today to say that we're going to continue it, I don't know if it's of any significance, because when it comes back later, essentially the answer will be the community, whether it was in January or in July, the community voted, and I don't think the vote has been controverted at this point, but we cannot not allow them to come back and present. We will be out of order.
Correct. So if we vote to say no, regardless, they will have to come back to the NPU for us to do a revote. Regardless of what our vote is right now, because by municipal code, they are required to have their voice in our NPU and attend the meeting as a new applicant. I would, if it was a past applicant over the last 6 months, then it would make sense. But in this case, it's an entirely new applicant and this is their first month of the application. But so they will have to come back in September, regardless of how we vote in this here. So is there any other items for Zach before we?
Yeah, I just wanted to say briefly that I think it's important to send a really strong impression to the new owner, as well as to the city, about the sort of shoddy nature of this process for communities and how these licenses can just be traded off and we don't really get our concerns met. And so I know that we have to vote again when they do appear, but I'm in favor of sending a really strong message to the applicant about our general opposition to this so that they understand and take this a bit more seriously.
Yeah. So I think, and here's my opinion, and I hate to say my opinion as a chair because I will sway folks. You have us having a strong stance, but I do not want to negate their say. Everybody has to have, as a chair, I believe that everybody has to present their case to the NPU. And if that is not the case, then I feel like it sways the decision, despite what the neighborhood vote is. I still think that the applicant, even though we're strongly against it, the applicant should have a voice in this. And since they haven't spoken to the NPU as a new applicant, then that concerns me. So that's where I stand, and I hate to say my opinion as an NPU chair because it sways, but I do believe in the cases where there is a lack of voice, I have to say that opinion. So with that said, I'm gonna close out the vote, and we're gonna go ahead and move forward for a vote in the motion. The motion was to go ahead and deny, and as an NPU, all those who are in favor, please use the raise hand feature at this time.
No, we're
In favor of denying, go ahead and deny the application.
No, that's not the motion, Mr. Chair. The motion is the continued vote of non-approval from Lakewood Heights. I thought we agreed that until they come back before us, the NPU itself cannot render a vote on it, cannot render a decision. But I thought the underlying motion was that the vote of Lakewood Heights does not have to be renewed at any point in the future. It will remain no matter when these folks come back. The no vote will remain that comes from Lakewood Heights. I think that was the motion, that no vote.
Jack, could you repeat the motion?
Yeah, the motion was, I think, as you stated originally, Troy, was to reject the application.
All right, and it was seconded by Jacob. So all those who are in favor to reject the application, please use the raise hand feature at this time.
I'll put you in the chat.
Please note that regardless, as we mentioned, that the applicant still would need to present in front of the NPU.
Currently 8 in favor of rejecting the applicant.
All right.
9 with Bob's support.
All right, 9 is in favor of rejecting the application. Because I don't have the ability to close. If you would, drop your hand.
2 remaining, 2 hands to be dropped. One is, the other is, all hands have been dropped.
All right, all hands are being dropped. All those who wish to reject the motion to deny the application as it currently stands.
Excuse me, sweetie.
Rejects to deny, reject the denial. That's
Reject the denial.
One in opposition to the underlying motion. 1 in opposition to the underlying motion.
All right, 1 in opposition. All those who wish to abstain, please use the raise hand feature at this time.
Troy, would you count me as an abstainer, Gloria?
Gloria and Chris. All right. With that being said, the motion carries.
9 in favor, 0 in opposition, and 2 abstainers.
All right. So we will make this. All right, moving forward, I will make a note, and Anna will talk to Daniel and get this tell him, because I know he's gonna call me tomorrow. All right, moving forward, we're gonna move forward to old business. Seeing none, we're gonna go ahead and move forward to new business. Seeing none, we're gonna go ahead and move forward to the announcements. There's a couple of announcements. I'll start with Adrian. Adrian Prowler, you're called to the floor for the Morehouse School of Medicine.
It's good. I think.
Hi, sorry, I was on mute. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Hello, everybody. I just wanted to ask a favor, please, if you could take the time to fill out the community health needs and assets assessment. We are focused, we've done a quota. So every 3 years, we do an assessment to find out what the priorities of the NPUs that are our priority NPUs, and that's X, Y, Z, V, and T. And then this year, we're also going throughout the state of Georgia. But they've, so that we don't get too many from any one NPU, they've given us quotas for each neighborhood so that they're represented. And actually right now we're over quota for South Atlanta neighborhood and villages of Carver, but we still need them for all the others, Joyland, Chosewood Park, Lakewood Heights, Betmar Villa, all the other areas we still need them. And if you fill it out, we'll send you a $25 gift card as a thank you for your time. Because I'll be very frank and honest with you, it's not a short survey. It will take you probably about 20 minutes. It will ask you about what you see as the priorities for your community, meaning your neighbors, and then it will go back and ask you what your priorities are for yourself personally. So I just want to point that out because a lot of people think it's repetitive, but really we're asking you two different questions. So, just because 3 years ago, diabetes and heart disease and mental health were the top priorities, we can't assume that. So this year they've added COVID as a priority. So we want to know what your priorities are and what you want to learn about. And so anyway, thank you so much. If you would take the time to fill that out, you would be doing me a great favor. I appreciate it. Bye.
All right, thank you. All right. I do have a couple of announcements. So there was a West Nile virus detection at Perkinson Park and the Benteen Senior Center that's located in NPU-X, but adjacent to NPU-Y. So if you are seeing any symptoms, please, and have visited Perkinson Park, please go to the doctor and get that tested. Also, the zoning 2.0 is underway. Share my screen. And they are doing a multiple of events. Is located on the agenda on the NPU-Y site. They're doing their next event is on October the 30th, where they'll be doing a discussion around zoning ordinance diagnostics, as well as ways to approach the new code. And that is a very important meeting. We do have representatives from NPU-Y. Paul has volunteered to attend these meetings, so we will have representatives, but the more the merrier, so that our voice is heard. And then lastly, as I mentioned before, bylaws, any bylaws request is needed before the next NPU-Y meeting. Is there any other items for announcements? Please use the raise hand feature at this time. Chris?
Ladies and gentlemen, Moving in the Spirit is in recruitment mode. We would love to have your youngest dancers between the ages of 3 and 18. We just finished an $8.4 million building, and we built it for the benefit of our young people. So we want to have as many young leaders in this building as possible. It's designed to hold 500 kids. but this year's goal is 300 kids. So movinginthespirit.org, take a look at our program. We, for the first time, had a few South Atlanta kids participate in our summer camp here recently. So we're really excited about getting more kids from the South Side in Moving in the Spirit. Movinginthespirit.org, we're in open enrollment, and we start first day, September the 12th.
All right, thank you, Chris. Monique, your call to the floor.
Hi. Hello. Hi. I'm Monique. Troy and I are having a play date at Stanton Park on Sunday at 4. Please come out with chairs and your little people. If you don't have little people, please share with other people who have little people. We need other little people to play with free. So we're really trying to build a connected space where parents can come together, talk about our school options, and what is available, and like, how do we create the spaces we want to see for our kids. We can't just keep running away from them. We need to face them, and we need to do it as a collective. So if you're down with doing that and you have little people, 4 p.m. Stanton Park, Sunday, popsicles are provided.
All right, thank you. Adrian, see your hand.
Yeah, Monique, can you post that the time and the place, and I'd love to share it with surrounding NPUs.
Yes, I also put it on the Sylvan Hills, Adair Park.
Oh, perfect. That's what I was. Thank you.
I already put it on there, and on South Atlanta's and NPU-Y. It's on all the Facebook flyers. So please, people.
Okay, thank you.
All right, is there any other announcements before we move forward to presentations? Gloria?
Yeah, one last one, Troy, you received the NPU best practices draft final that they're looking for input on, right? That we can distribute that to the community to see if any folks have any suggestions.
It is on the last month's agenda, but I can also grab the link and distribute it in the chat. I'll do that during presentations.
Thanks.
Yep. All right, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move forward to the Michael's Development Company, Atlanta Housing, Inglewood Phase 1, Invest Atlanta presentation.
Good evening. I'm Granville Tate with the Michael's organization, joined by Martha Chang, also of Michael's, and with Trish O'Connell and Maya Hadari of Atlanta Housing. And want to say first, thank you all to NPU-Y for having us tonight. I'm trying to share my screen here. Okay. I think I got it. So we're coming to you all tonight for a letter of support with respect to our project, Inglewood Family 1. It is 227 units of affordable housing and market rate housing at the former Inglewood Manor site. It's going to be 80% affordable, and that's we're looking to serve persons anywhere from 80% and below of area median income in 80% of those units, and then 20% would be market. We're looking to take advantage of something called income averaging, and in that particular type of financing with respect to tax credits, you're able to have some persons who can income qualify up to 80% as long as you average below 60%. So it's a way of having a wider sort of stratosphere of affordable housing residents. The unit mix consists of 93 one-bedrooms, 112 twos, and 22 threes. We're also looking to have roughly about 20,000 square feet of retail. If you look at this particular picture that's on the screen, you can see this is at the corner of Inglewood, and it's just in from Boulevard and it's across the street from Boulevard Crossing Park. And if you go further back, it's near Chosewood Park. This is a better example of sort of where we are. We're talking specifically about the multifamily pad D. We've come to you previously for the senior portion I, and then there's another phase that we'll be working on, which is G, but we don't expect to work on that for another couple of years. In the timeline I have posted here, we are submitting an application to the Department of Community Affairs. That application is due in October. We expect, if we are approved, that they will let us know that we've won an award by April. And then we expect to close, call it end of third quarter, beginning of fourth quarter in 2023, and then have units delivered by August 2025. One of the things we wanted to show you is just sort of some of the precedent images that we are considering with our architects. These are, because this is going to be a mixed income and mixed use development, we are looking at having retail along the first floor, and then 4 to 5 stories of residential above that. And I was just going to say, because the site slopes, it kind of depends on where you are, whether it's 4 or 5 stories residential. And again, my name is Granville Tate, and as I said, we are looking for a letter of support. We previously went to the Chosewood Park Neighborhood Association last week, in which they voted to support our project. So if there are any questions, I'm more than happy to take them.
All right, thank you. Is there any questions for the benefit of the body? I see Zach's hands raised. You go to the floor.
Thank you. Hi, Mr. Tate. I had a question about what you mentioned about the AMIs and the incomes. So are the rents across the board set at 60% AMI, or do they correspond with the AMI of the applicant?
The rents they correspond to the applicant if they are above 60%. The rents are set at 60% for the units that are below. We also, and I apologize for failing to mention this, we are also expecting to have half of the units supported, half of the affordable units, that is, supported by home flex assistance from Atlanta Housing. So no one, if you're a 30% renter, you would still not pay more than 30% of your income.
Right. So project-based vouchers will do that, but in the other half of the units, if you're a 30% applicant, you'll be at 50 or 60% AMI.
No, there's so the way we are currently envisioning it, no 30% renter would not have a voucher.
Okay. So there won't be a limit on the number of folks at 30% that are accepted?
No, there is a limit because we are, again, income averaging. So let's say this: if we had half of the units, as I said, half of the affordable units can be supported, or 50% of the units can be supported by home flex, project-based vouchers. If all of those units were 30% units, and those are the people who came and leased a unit from us, then all of those people would still pay 30% of their income. So it wouldn't be a situation in which, that they would be paying something higher. So, and I guess I'm trying to say, and there's no situation in which a 30% renter would be paying 60% of AMI.
And this is a 9% tax credit?
It is not. It's a 4%.
4%. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? We have a question from Gloria.
Thanks. I didn't really follow that because it sounded like really astute analysis of that process. When you said that no folks earning over, did I hear over 60% AMI would likely be given a subsidy? Is that what I heard?
No, so maybe I'll do a better, let me go back here. So as you see, we have 227 units of housing, of which 80% of those will be deemed affordable under income averaging. So, 100, and just for a quick math, let's for easy math purposes, let's say it's 160 units that are going to be affordable. Of those 160 units, Atlanta Housing will provide up to, they will provide project-based vouchers on half of the total amount of units. So that's, and I should say it's half of the total amount of units. So that's 110. So up to 110, well, 227. I guess 115. So closer to 115 is the total amount of project-based vouchers we could get on that particular project. If all the persons who applied for project-based vouchers or who received project-based vouchers were at 30%, all of those persons could stay there. Then the remaining amount of affordable housing units, so let's say for my example, we were talking 160 in total. The remaining, say, 45 would be somewhere between 60 and 80% of area median income. And then those persons would pay 30% of their income kind of based on their income. So if you're at 80%, you pay 30% of the 80% rate, not 30% of a 60% rate.
Gotcha. Thanks.
All right, I wanted to call Jacob to the floor briefly, just to say the sentiment of the social park community before we do a motion.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Chosewood Park did approve this as a motion, with a condition that they make sure they come back to the neighborhood to show us elevations. I do know that those elevations that they had presented were just possible renderings. We know that it takes a process to be able to get those back, but that is something that the neighborhood did want to see as far as those exterior elevations and renderings go as far as the street is. So we did vote to approve this, and we would like to say that Atlanta Housing has been working a lot with the neighborhood. They have chosen to support our park projects with helping us with stream restoration and a unity bridge and also an entrance on Galt Street, offering up to the tune of around $400,000 to help with these neighborhood projects. So we are excited to see Atlanta Housing continue to move forward, and they did receive a letter of support from the neighborhood. So that's all I have to report.
All right, I'd like to solicit a motion. I'd like to solicit a motion.
Troy, this is Bob. Just one quick question. It was my understanding this was not a voting matter, so I'm a little confused as to why we're voting. Could you help me to understand?
This is for the 4% tax credit. In order for them to get that 4% tax credit, the NPU has to send a letter of support to Invest Atlanta. In order for me to create a letter of support, generally speaking, we usually go before the body for a vote of approval.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Yep. Thunder. Like to solicit a motion? Is there any motion?
Troy, one last question. Is that possible?
Yeah, I was gonna do the motion first, motion then second, and then we'll open the floor back up for discussion.
I move that we accept based on Chosewood, the community having vetted the project and are satisfied with their relationship with Michaels.
Okay, do you want to add the conditions in there as well?
Well, again, when I say satisfied with that relationship, I'm assuming all of the conditions that were named previously by Jacob is part of the agreement of the relationship. Is that correct, Mr. Tate?
That's correct. We were approved with conditions that Jacob outlined.
Yes, based on those conditions.
All right, can I get a second?
Chris McCord, second.
Chris McCord, second. All right, I'm opening the floor back up for discussion. We allow for a couple more comments because we got to move to the next presentation.
In past, you asked me, I thought that there was some bigger conversation around the location of that this is all Atlanta Housing Authority. I'm not sure if that 577 Inglewood is also under the same Michaels, but I thought early on there was some discussion about these properties being located there in Inglewood and believing there was some conflict based on. Yeah.
There is, Gloria, in 577 Inglewood, it's the Jamestown development that Anna Maria Hazard is representing, along with 510 Sawtell as well. But this is with Atlanta Housing, I believe it's the Michaels Group, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Fortis and Benoit Group as well, that works with Atlanta Housing.
So the conflict is resolved, I'm assuming.
The conflict would have been more towards the 577 Inglewood, as it is it compounds the density that we're wanting to have in the neighborhood as far as that type of housing. So we know that Atlanta Housing, that's a project that has been ongoing for years. That was always Atlanta Housing's property from the 70s when it was Inglewood Manor. And this is something that they've worked with the community. So we have decided as a community to continue working and having this relationship with them. So 577 is a completely separate development and a different application.
All right, and we're going to do one more question for Zach, and we're going to close it out after that. Zach, your call.
Yeah, I just had a quick process question. So are the elevations and some essential renderings going to be available before the application is submitted so that both Chosewood and the NPU can have some review of that? And also, is there any outreach plan to previous residents in terms of preferences or just access to information about the development?
That's a good question.
So in terms of elevations, we are advancing our architecture with respect to that. And I do believe we should have something that we can provide in terms of preliminary elevations. As you all know, as architectural plans get more defined, you will obviously ensure that you have, might have some slight change in materials, but I think that we will have something that we can present close to, if not before, then shortly after our application submission. Our application submission is due October the 14th. And I believe that your next meeting is in September, and then I'm not sure when your October meeting is set for. But from our standpoint, we have no problem coming back before either Chosewood Park or NPU-Y to talk about the elevations. Given that the project won't break ground until late 2023, I think that there will be ample time for us to continue to have a conversation with the community sort of regarding what the actual building looks like.
Yes.
Trish, calling you to the floor.
Engagement.
I'm sorry, Trish, I'm calling you to the floor. Trisha O'Connor.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. Yeah, I just wanted to respond to Zachary's question. I believe it was about the former Inglewood residents, and we will be starting our outreach programs with them in the fall, and they will have a right to return to the finished property.
Great, thank you.
I saw Maya. I saw you said something. Did you want to say anything before we close out?
Same thing Trish was saying. So we're in alignment.
All right, thank you. All right. To Zach's point, since it's conditional based on another item, we may have to. We can go ahead and move forward with the vote, but as far as submitting the letter of recommendation, it may be until we get the. Yeah, we have to. I think that we're after the call. We'll discuss offline. So we'll go ahead and close the discussion and move forward with the vote.
One person needs to lower their hand before we do the slate.
All right, thank you. Lower hand now. All those who are in favor to approve the low income tax credits for Invest Atlanta, giving a letter of recommendation with the conditions that Jacob outlined. All those who are in favor, please use the raise hand feature at this time.
Troy, 5, Natalia 5, but would you count me as 6, please?
All right, we have 6.
And there's a 7th one making Nicola's in the chat as a 7th. 7th.
7 is in the chat.
7th individual in favor of the motion.
All right, moving forward. Please lower your hand right now if you made a motion, or maybe raise your hand. All right.
Wait, there's one hand remaining.
All right, I just removed. All those who wish to deny the letter of support for Invest Atlanta, please use the raise hand feature at this time.
Current tally is 1 in opposition.
And all those, lower the hand now. All those who wish to abstain, please use the raise hand feature at this time.
There are 2 abstainers.
All right. Motion carries. Could you repeat it? The tally, Gloria?
I lost it, sorry.
7.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I lost it. I know there was 2 and 1 in opposition, 2 abstainers.
712.
Yes, 712.
712, motion carries. All right, moving forward to the last presentation, we have we have Joe Reed from the Residences at Chelsea Park. This is another Invest Atlanta presentation. Before we move there, I'd like to solicit a quick motion to extend the meeting 15 minutes.
So moved, Gloria.
So moved by
Second,
Gloria.
Chris McCord.
Seconded by Chris McCord. Is there anybody who's against? Abstention? Motion has been approved by unanimous consent. We're going to go ahead and move forward to the last presentation of the night. All right, you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank you for extending the meeting and for just spending so much time as public servants. I'm Joel Reed. I'm the Southeast Market President with Gorman and Company. We're here tonight with a similar ask of the last presentation for recommendation of support or conditional support letter to go to Invest Atlanta for our project. that is a mixed income development located at 1211 McDonald Drive. The site's at the corner of McDonald and Milton in the Chosewood Park neighborhood. It's surrounded by multifamily residential and some light industrial uses. About a block off the Beltline. A little bit about us. We're about a 40-year-old vertically integrated affordable housing developer, primarily utilizing the tax credits as a method to build some truly affordable housing. We specialize in downtown revitalizations, mixed use, neighborhood transformations, and see ourselves as a community developer and partner. My team here tonight, we've got a couple members of the team here tonight. We've got Jonathan Asimwe, who's a lead architect here in the Southeast, Nate Stark, who's our National Director of Design, and Brock Thompson, who's a project manager. We came into the Southeast market back in 2008, expanded into Georgia about 3 years ago in 2019. I live here in Candler Park. Our offices are at 460 Edgewood Ave. In the Sweet Auburn neighborhood, MLK district. We were awarded a couple tax projects since we came here to Atlanta. We have residences of Westview, which is a 60-unit development, and Hamilton Hills, which is a 52-unit development. This project, we're seeking 4% tax credits with an application to DCA that's due in October. And prior to that, we've submitted an application to Invest Atlanta for some additional funding for the project, which is a September 15th meeting. We took a look at the Chosewood Park redevelopment plan, City of Atlanta comp development plan, 2021 Atlanta Beltline sub-area 2 plan, and begun to meet with the community groups. We met with Chosewood Park neighborhood group last week. The site is zoned for high density residential. Our site plan and redevelopment plan is based on the MR4A-C zoning, a conditional zoning that approved our development plan back in 2008. The current site is a undeveloped site with a abandoned single family structure on it. It's overgrown with kudzu. Just a little bit about the project. As I mentioned, we're applying for this is a very complicated chart here, but what's to take away is we've had quite a few initial meetings. We'll continue to have meetings. We're on a similar path that we'd be submitting this to DCA in October. We wouldn't get to a closing and groundbreaking until fourth quarter of next year, 2023, or maybe even first quarter of 2024. We still need to go through the SAP process with the City of Atlanta for the design of this project. In meeting with Chosewood Park neighborhood group, we heard of concerns with traffic flow and congestion, enhancing the sidewalk network or necessity for that, concern over tree loss in general in the neighborhood, and also just trees being lost on that site due to neglect from the previous owner, concerns of stormwater runoff to make sure that we'd be complying with all the stormwater, and then just the lack of for sale housing since this is a rental development proposed. Here's the site plan in the rear of the property. The building A is a 5-story residential building over parking. And the parking is structured parking in a basement level and then a below grade, kind of partially below grade at the first level. And then we have some 2-story townhomes along McDonald Drive here, fronting McDonald Drive, and then a commercial space in this D building here along Milton Avenue with residential units above it. This is a massing plan. We didn't want to go too far with the elevations and design. This is based upon the 2008 approval that we had received for the site. There still obviously needs to be materials added. Nate Starks here, our director of design, can talk about that and kind of the next processes and steps with that, but wanted to give kind of a feel for the overall massing to have a pedestrian scale here along Milton Ave and McDonald, and then, you know, more of the mass at the rear of the property. The use is proposed, it's 106 units, 6,000 square feet of retail, and 126 parking spaces, 99 structured and 27 surface. Out of the 106 multifamily residential, there's 85% of the units are targeted for affordable units between the 50 and 60% AMI, and 15% are for market rate. It's a little more on the unit breakdown of the 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms for the 106 units and the incomes. It's a total of a $38 million investment in the community. And it's financed with the tax credits, the 4% credits, some funding through the Beltline TAD grant, some home loans and deferred fee. Community impact and benefits, additional affordable housing, creating permanent and temporary jobs, adding to the tax digest, increase in safety due to additional eyes on the street. Again, we're requesting a letter of support or contingent letter of support from NPU-Y tonight. We did meet with Chosewood Park Neighborhood Association. They deferred a vote on the item that they wanted to have additional meetings and more information about the project. We're trying to schedule to go back to have, they said they do an executive session. So by next week, we'll have some more information on the elevations and renderings and look and feel of the project. We hope to sit down with them and provide some more detail and more comfort to them to move forward with a letter from them as well. So tonight, we need for an application, we need some sort of letter is required. We're suggesting perhaps a letter of support contingent upon Chosewood Park supporting it, and then we'll go back to Chosewood Park and see if we can work with them to get a letter that's either support or contingent upon additional, times going to see them. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. Here for any questions. And like I said, we've got our architects here to answer any specific architectural questions as well.
All right, thank you. I see a question from the body for Zach.
Yeah, my question is regarding the duration of affordability, given the 15-year required term. What percentage of your portfolio nationally, once the required tax credit term expires, is preserved as affordable in the long term? And is that the commitment here to keep these as continuously affordable after the tax credit period expires?
So Zach, as far as the project here, it has the base 15 years of affordable, and then we enter into an extended land use restrictive covenant on the units for 30 years. So these ones are protected for 30 years. We're also looking at some nonprofits that to partner with that on the land piece and then lease back for an extended affordability period, and they'd be looking to get up to 60 years of affordability if we go that route. I can send you, I don't have the numbers of our portfolio, but we are a long-term holder of our assets. We don't develop and leave, we develop and then we develop again in the same communities that we're in. And we hold our assets long-term in the neighborhood and communities. And I'm not aware of conversions to market rate units from the affordable units, but I'd need to see our full list. We have 8,000 units in our portfolio before I could fully comment on that.
All right, is there any other questions briefly? Any other questions for the benefit of the body?
Yeah, quickly. Sure.
Yep, Gloria.
So based on the question I just heard, is that some standard policy, or is the nature of the incentive, is that for a period of time, this investment allows these units to remain for at least a given period, say 15 or 20 years under the, what is the word I'm looking for? Under the conditions upon which the monies are given. Is that what I heard?
Yes, for 30 years, 30 years.
So your answer is it's a 30-year period, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then after that, you're going to look to see what your portfolio looks like as to determine how you all have generally treated the once the conditions are lifted.
Right after the 30 years.
Yeah, okay, interesting.
I mean, we've been around 40, almost 40 years, 38 years. So we'd have to go back to some of the early ones to look. So there might be some that have, come up to that 30 years to see where they're at right now. But I'm happy to put together that data and shoot that to you all.
Very good.
All right. Jacob, did you want to say any comments before we move to a motion?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, this was a presentation that the Cheswood Park Neighborhood Association saw last week at our meeting for the month of August. There are a lot of concerns with projects like this. Then we have a lot of similar projects. We have a lot of concerns around not only the density, but also the amount of affordable units that'll be coming into the neighborhood. This is something I hear constantly from the constituent base. And each site is very particular, but this particular site, as they had mentioned, was something that was upzoned. I apologize, I got something in my throat there. Was an upzoned property. Went from single family core to the higher density back during those mass rezonings for the Beltline that came through as far as the city did. We have a lot of properties that are directly adjacent to the Beltline or close to the Beltline that fall into that category, where now the applicants are able to apply for SAP process as compared to coming before the neighborhood and really going before the zoning review board. We had mentioned to this applicant or this individual, the transportation issues that are concerned with that particular intersection at Milton and Lakewood, how that might affect their property, and then also the desire from the neighborhood standpoint on ownership. Ownership is a very important part of what we want to see in the density of the neighborhood. We understand that density is coming, but we do want to see it in a form that actually benefits the community and doesn't necessarily work 100% in the favor of the developer. This isn't something that we voted upon last month. This was not something that was deferred. This was just a presentation by the developer. And so, as far as the Cheswood Park community goes, this isn't a project that we would support a tax credit for, a low income tax credit for.
All right. I would like to I'm gonna solicit a motion, Paul and Suzanne, and then from there we will open back up for discussion.
Thank you, Troy. This is actually Bob, but I would like to make a motion that since there are a lot of concerns from the Cheswood Park neighborhood, and since the Cheswood Park neighborhood has not voted on this letter, that we vote to defer until such time as Cheswood Park chooses to approve such a letter.
All right, motion has been presented by Bob. Can I get a second?
Nicole Weiswasser, I second.
Seconded by Nicole Westwasser. I'd like to open up the conversation again for discussion briefly. There's two options. Essentially, the motion is to defer, but the option that was presented by Joe was to approve based on the vote on Cheswood Park. So those were the two options. The motion on the floor is currently to defer. Paul, you're called to the floor.
Yes, I'm very positive on this motion. And I just wanted to ask the applicants, you've certainly read the dangerous dwelling articles that have come out in the last couple of years. And that's an example of what can happen with permanently affordable housing, because these projects are so invested in all these low-income tax credits and various government programs to put, quote, affordable on them. What happens is the housing remains in force well past its life cycle, and then becomes actually dangerous for people to live in. So the idea that this will stay permanently affordable for 60 years is pretty scary to me. Because I just see you guys in the headlines in 20 years. But that's what you ought to think about, and just don't assume because they put the permanently affordable tag on it, it's inherently good.
All right, thank you for that, Paul. Suzanne, Bob, I see your hands raised.
Yes, Bob again. Yeah, thank you. And I guess just a point of order that I really have a question about. My understanding is that the NPU will generally follow a neighborhood who has approved or disapproved an action. But it's unusual for us to approve an action based on future approval by the neighborhood. That doesn't work that way. My understanding is we will take up a matter for approval or disapproval once a neighborhood has also taken up that matter. Is that correct?
So historically, we have done it to where if time is of the essence, we have done it to where we would do a vote contingent upon the neighborhood's votes. If we do not choose, we don't want the applicant to come back before the NPU. So that has been done. It has been really done in my tenure, but it has been done in, I know, Chris and Russell's tenure. So that is an option that we could present if so choose, if time is of the essence. However, in the cases where time is not of the essence, generally, you're right, we don't really, we typically just allow them to come back before the NPU so that we can hear the whole entire story. And so every neighborhood can make a vote in light of the new information that's presented.
Okay, thank you, Troy.
Yep. Tremaine, your call to the floor.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to find out what, I don't know if I missed it, but what were the objections that Chosewood had? I don't remember hearing that part.
Jacob, did you want to mention that?
Yeah, we believe that the objections from Chosewood is it's hard to vote on something without having a proper plan in place. Those aren't the actual elevational renderings that they're proposing. There aren't anything as far as a site plan that goes that involves our major DOT project there at that intersection of Lakewood and Milton Avenue, which is a huge issue for us. And it's only been exasperated even more throughout the course of not having our McDonough Bridge open, and then also the amount of density with the and the tax breaks as far as affordable housing goes. I think that we did get a confirmation, maybe by accident, last month from the Councilmember Winston's office that Inglewood North is still Inglewood North and Inglewood South is Inglewood South. We went from 300 units in one location, and I guess if you include the Gladstone, Paul, you can help me with this, closer to 500 units. And then with one new location, we have with the new Atlanta housing location, there's almost 1,000 units. And then we still have the Inglewood North to deal with. And then we also have the other applicants from Jamestown and Sawtell. Sawtell alone is almost 3,000 units. That's what they tell us, but we don't know for sure. They have the ability to do up, I believe it was 2 million square feet. So it's a lot of the same use and a lot of the exact same product in a very, very small location. To go from, X amount of units in 1 year to 5 years down the road, we've got 10,000 units in Chosewood Park alone. That are all of the same type of construction, the same type of density, and the same type of affordable housing credits.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, I just like to
say,
say,
hold on for a second, Paul. We're gonna allow for a couple more. We are over time, but we're gonna go ahead and extend. Paul, go ahead.
It's 1,100 units at Empire.
Oh, appreciate it, Paul. And Gloria, Zach, did you have anything to add before we go for a vote?
I just
Yeah,
had
Go ahead, Gloria, sorry.
I just had a couple of questions. So I think what I heard is Chosewood has not spoken, or it's not been presented to Chosewood, at least Chosewood has not made a decision. Is that correct?
That's correct, because Chosewood did not vote on this matter. They did present before Chosewood, and Chosewood decided not to vote, essentially decided to defer.
And did I hear you answer the question?
There was not a deferral, Mr.
I'm
Chairman. This
Yeah,
was.
you are correct. It was a no vote.
Yes.
It was a no vote. It's correct.
It's a no. Well, you mentioned time is of the essence. Is time of the essence in this
I
issue?
said that is one of the options if time. Jacob or Joe, could you answer that?
Yes. Yeah, I can answer that. And just to clarify a few things, yes, time is, we're submitting to DCA October 14th for the application for 4% tax credits. That window's been closed for 2 years because the program was oversubscribed. We don't know when it will be available again. They opened in June, and we started the process as soon as we heard it was open to reach out to try and get meetings with the community groups. And, we were able to get the one with Chosewood. And we've got the Invest Atlanta application that's going to their board meeting next month on the 15th, 1 month from today. And in that, it requires that we have a letter from the NPUs, from you all, whether you, one way or the other, support, we'd love a support, or support conditional upon going back to Chosewood, or an opposition, but we need something from the NPU. That's what's required by code and City of Atlanta for this process. And these are, just to clarify, these are the elevations. This is the site plan for the project, and this is what was presented at Chosewood.
Mr. Chair, I still don't understand why Chosewood rejected. I rejected it, but I'm still.
Well, for clarity, we could vote on this in September before their October deadline. So it is still a possibility to make a vote. And then they'll just have to attend the meeting for Invest Atlanta in October.
Chairman, I want to be clear that the September 15th is when we need the vote by. September 15th for Invest Atlanta is the one that requires the letter from you all. It's not the October 14th. It's the September 15th date that will be going before the Invest Atlanta board. This 9/15 date right here, and it's Invest Atlanta that requires this letter.
Yes, but we still can go before the board in October, correct?
No, according to the Invest Atlanta requirement, we must have a letter.
Yes, to deny this, basically.
So, okay. With that being said.
Can I weigh in? Troy, is that okay? Thanks. So I just wanted to speak to a couple of things. I think I was concerned with the presentation from Chosewood, because I felt that the overall number of units and the affordability are being conflated in a way that isn't quite accurate. If you look out at what's happening development-wise, the overwhelming majority of what's being built in Chosewood and the city as a whole, I believe 97% in the city actually, of development is market rate, actually luxury, much of it at the luxury rate, not affordable. Aside from the public land at Inglewood, there isn't much affordable housing being built in our NPU, aside from what's mandated at the Beltline, the 10%. Or I think it goes up to 15% based on AMI levels. And so the reality is that only a fraction of the units that you talked about, I believe up to 6,000 units, only a fraction of that really are going to be affordable outside of what's being built at Inglewood and on the Atlanta Housing Authority sites. And so this, to me, actually appears to be a rare exception in terms of affordability on what I believe is private land. Whereas on most of the private land, unless it's at a Beltline TRD, there's no required affordability. And so I think that was a concern of mine, that we have some accuracy in that. And then my second point, I think Paul brought up the dangerous dwellings argument, which is another conflation that is talking about a lot of other historical sources of HUD revenue. And the main problem that we have is that there are no preservation funds, and we have to fight for preservation funds to ensure that buildings can be affordable. But we don't use the fact that homeowners buy homes that they can't afford to maintain and thus become dangerous dwellings as a reason not to fight for and incentivize and promote homeownership, which is a demand of folks in this group. And so I don't think it's fair to apply that here when we know that that's a crisis of a lack of preservation funds, and that it's not a reason in and of itself to not build affordable housing. So those are two things that I would want to dispute, because affordable housing, whether it's happening in your neighborhood or mine, is of the interest of the city as a whole, that we have to have some accuracy in terms of how we depict those types of things. This appears to me to be a rare exception of affordable housing on private land.
So I got a question for Anna, if you're still online. Anna, I think she's still online. In the case where we defer and it goes for a deferral, does it just go? I thought, under my impression as an NPU chair, I thought it just goes to the next. It doesn't go before the September meeting. It just goes to the October meeting for the Invest Atlanta for their board. What happens if we defer right now? What happens to the application? Does it just roll over to the next month, or do they just all together don't get the funds?
And are you asking about for Invest Atlanta?
Invest Atlanta, yeah. The Invest Atlanta tax credit.
I would have to reach out to Daniel to confirm what would happen.
Okay, so
yeah,
okay.
sorry, I can't say definitively, unfortunately.
Chair, if I could chime in for 1 second, if it's okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I mean, timing is of the essence with every real estate deal. And I will say that if this is the actual site plan that was approved in 2008, it definitely needs to be updated. I just based on the site plan alone, if this is what is being pushed as far as, you know, whether that we would approve this and give a tax credit for a low income housing on this, I would like to make a motion that we do not approve this, because this is not a site plan that the neighborhood has approved as a whole. And I just, to address what Zach's concerns are as far as affordable housing, Zach, I would love to have a conversation with you offline regarding affordable housing and how it affects the neighborhood, and where we can solve a lot of these issues that the city is facing when it comes to that. But I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah. So in this case, we do have a motion on the floor. We can motion to amend, somebody can present a motion to amend, or we can continue with the motion that is on the floor. So Jacob, did you want to just continue with the motion that's currently on the floor to defer, or do you want to amend to deny?
I would like to amend to deny, based on that being the site plan that we would be approving based on a tax credit for that.
Mr. Chairman, having made the initial motion, I'm willing to amend.
Okay. So it's been amended by Bob. I'm assuming that Jacob,
Being
you
amended
are
by
seconding
Jacob,
that
Mr.
motion.
Chair.
You said
Mr.
what?
Chair, it's being amended by Jacob. Bob put the motion on the floor. Jacob has now come and amended it. So the amendment is by Jacob.
Okay, amended by Jacob, and then Bob, you're seconding that amendment. I'm gonna close the discussion right now due to time. All those who wish to amend the motion to deny, so move it from deferral to denial based on time constraints, please use the raised, let me lower the hands. Please use the raise hand feature at this time. And then in order to be a voting member, you must have attended 3 out of the last 12 calendar meetings.
Four in favor of the motion as stated by the chair.
All right. 4 has been, I'm gonna go ahead, please go ahead and lower your hands at this point.
And I'm in the chat, please.
5.
Five.
How about Nicole? Where's she? She drop off?
Was not in it. She did not raise her hand. All right, we're gonna go ahead and all those who wish to.
One hand is still raised. One person needs to lower their hand. Okay.
All right, all those who wish to deny the amendment, deny the amendment. The amendment was to change the motion from a deferral to a denial. All right. We lowering hands now. We have one. We have
One in opposition.
One
One in
opposition.
opposition.
All those who wish to abstain, please use the raise hand feature at this time.
Please count me as an abstainer, Mr. Chair.
We have two. Two. Motion carries to amend. We have three. Chris has also is in the chat. Motion carries to amend 4-1-3. All right, now we're going.
Mr. Chair, I believe it was 5-1-3.
5-1-3.
Yes.
It still amends. Now we're going to move towards a motion to deny. So we just motioned to amend successfully. It has been successfully amended. Now we're moving towards a motion to deny. All those who wish to deny the application, please use the raise hand feature at this time. In order to be a voting member, you must have attended 3 out of the last 12 calendar months.
3 move to deny or in opposition to the motion.
I'm trying to add Bob to the chat, but I don't seem to be able to do it. So but Bob is in agreement.
Nicole in the chat.
So that makes a tally of 5.
Bob is in the chat. Please keep your hand raised. It's switching up on us. All those who wish to deny the application, please use the raise hand feature at this time.
5, if you include those in the chat, 5 that wish to deny.
I have 6. We have both Nicole and Bob in the chat. Bob,
Tally is 6 that wish to deny the applicant.
all right. Lowering hands now. All those who wish to in opposition to denial, all those who are in opposition to denying the application, please use the raise hand feature at this time.
Total of 1 in tally of opposition to the denial.
All right. All those who wish to abstain, please use the raise hand feature at this time.
Please, Mr. Chair, count me as an abstainer.
So to deny means that the application is rejected from the NPU. If you do not wish to do the tax credits. Joe.
I was asking for clarification on the denial because we'll probably need what grounds it's being denied upon, because the site plan was approved by zoning already. So if it's based on site plan, I'm just a little confused.
Okay, I mentioned it after the vote closed out. All those who wish to abstain, please use the raise hand feature at this time.
Can I ask a point of order? Are we rejecting this before the community of Chosewood Park actually took a vote on this? Is that my understanding?
No.
Like, didn't they vote to defer?
No,
They voted to oppose it?
To oppose it. Yes.
They did not vote to oppose.
They did a no vote.
Just for clarity.
For clarity. Yeah, that's why
They're
we
voting.
heard.
Yeah,
That's
this
why-
is an NPU.
No, we're gonna
They were
close.
prior to-
Point of order. We're gonna go ahead and close out the vote, and then from there we're gonna discuss. All right. So what's the motion? What's the vote?
The tally 5 is the majority for denial of the applicant, 3 in opposition and 3 abstainers.
5-3-3 motion is to deny. All right,
That's right.
so here's why, this is why we was trying to get the deferral, because historically what happens with the NPU is if the neighborhood does not vote, does not do a no vote, then the NPU typically defers the application and waits until the neighborhood makes a vote. However, there are in cases, because the NPU does, in a sense, can vote over the neighborhood in certain cases, like in this case. In the cases where time is of the essence and the neighborhood didn't get around to it, where there's a time constraint, then the NPU can make a vote that's different from the neighborhood. And in this case, and this is okay in a lot of cases, because In both cases, it was the amendment and the original motion was by members of Chosewood Park executive team. So that's why we wanted to defer as the NPU. That's why the initial was made, because historically, when the neighborhood does not vote, the NPU defers until the neighborhood can make a vote. But since it was of a time essence, we had to make a decision on whether to approve or deny because of time constraints. So that is why we mentioned the deferral in the first place. Chris, your hand's raised. We got to close out this meeting. Chris, you called the floor. All right, Jacob, you're called to the floor.
Hi, it's Nicole Weisswasser. Just to clarify some of the timeline here, in June, we did submit over to them our CDP and just some information about our community as to their site plan. August, they then asked to present in front of the neighborhood, but not to come to a vote. During the meeting, however, they did ask to come to a vote for tax credits. So the community was not aware of this prior to our meeting. So that is why there was no vote taken during our meeting. We understand that they are on a timeline. However, they did not come before the community to discuss and work with the community prior to coming to the NPU-Y for a vote.
Yeah, and I mentioned at the meeting, I also attended the Chosewood meeting, and I mentioned at the meeting that the policy is to defer in these cases from the NPU if the time is not of the essence. So I did mention to the applicant that in these situations where there's no vote in a neighborhood will want to get more information, get more time, then NPU will honor that historically. And we will say, yes, we will defer so that the neighborhood can get more time. In this case, it mentioned that there was a time constraint and we needed to make a vote of approval or denial, which I have never seen historically from investor land applications. We typically can defer with investor land applications, as I've seen in my couple of years of tenure here. So I was not aware that there's a time constraint because we usually had the time to defer. So that's
Chair, there's an important question in the, I think there's an important comment in the chat that came from Joel expressing he didn't know the need, and I don't think it is a mandate, it's a request.
Not a mandate. That's correct. Yeah. So I mentioned in the chat that the NPU's policy in the case where there's a no vote, I mentioned it at the Chosewood meeting, that in the case where there's no vote, then the NPU historically has deferred. I mentioned that in the Chosewood Park meeting. So yeah, we can talk about this offline, but we have to go ahead and continue with the conversation. It's beginning to become extremely late. We're gonna have to go ahead and allow Anna to do her report, and then from there we'll go ahead and adjourn, and then we'll continue the conversation after, if time permits. Anna, you're called to the floor.
Right, 1 second, let me pull up the my report. It's pretty lengthy tonight. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. So just to reiterate the zoning ordinance rewrite, we have a workshop series kicking off August 30th. It's going to be, there's 4 workshops between August and January, and please attend those. I think it's really important to have your voice heard. I will try to be in attendance as well. And I'll attach the flyers that Troy shared earlier and provide links to the website where you can register for those meetings. They're virtual. NPU University offers free courses in community leadership, planning, and civic participation. This month's classes are the Bylaws Clinic, which is Thursday, August 11th from 6 to 8 p.m. and the Elections Integrity Clinic on Wednesday, August 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. I will provide a link in the chat to register, and it also has more details. The Office of Buildings is starting permitting in the park this month. It's an effort to assist with on-the-spot permitting assistance at several city parks and rec centers. Please see the link in the chat for details. The Department of City Planning is working with customers and staff to identify and implement improvements to our development and permitting services. 22 action items have been noted so far and 6 have been fully completed. 7 other items are in progress. More details are in the chat. DCP is also accepting feedback and ideas on how to improve services for Atlanta residents. Please reach out to Elizabeth Johnson, our business and service improvement manager. I'll provide her email in the chat as well. The Office of Housing has launched an affordable housing tracker. It's a web-based map tool that gives real-time estimate of affordable housing throughout the city. Another Office of Housing project, a faith-based development initiative, is entering its 7th month. It's aimed at helping faith-based organizations develop their land for affordable housing. The public is invited to participate in the next workshop, which will be on August 25th at St. Luke's Episcopal Church from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Again, I will post all of the links and information in the chat, and let me know if you have any questions.
Is there any questions for the benefit of the body?
Other than I'd just like to comment, I think we missed the bylaws date. That was last Thursday for NPU University, Anna. But they're archived, but also letting folks know that those classes are also archived. Is that correct?
For the bylaws?
Yeah, we missed it. I think it was last Thursday, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. I was on that meeting or on that university.
Yeah, but it's also, and I think they're all archived. That's the beauty of it.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Is there any other questions for the benefit of the body?
Yeah.
All right, seeing none, I'd like to solicit a motion for adjournment.
I'll second that motion.
So moved.
All right, moved by Gloria, seconded by, I think, Jacob. Is there any objections to adjournment? All those in favor say aye.
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 All right. The meeting has been successfully adjourned at 9:45. Thank you.